त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। We'll do the full Gita Dhyana Slokam. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambattvamanusandanami Bhagavat Gite Bhavatveshinim नमोस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतथा जयद्रथचला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णः खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगण्डोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं परिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरहै पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगुणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ कृष्णाय परमात्मने नमः। Pranams everyone. So we had in the last week we had completed chapter 1. Chapter 1 is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, where Arjuna's emotions had come to the fore. Vishadam means basically sorrow. So Arjuna's sorrow had come out. At the end of the chapter, throughout the chapter, Bhagavan had not spoken a word. It was mainly the description of the battlefield, and then Arjuna started talking, and Arjuna's attachment, and from the attachment, the grief, the sorrow, and from that sorrow, the delusion all came to the fore. The root cause being attachment. What we generally see, the attachment is never seen by us. As an emotion, what we are able to recognize within ourselves is only the grief. It is neither the attachment that comes, that is probably that we are able to recognize, nor the delusion. The delusion we are able to recognize after the time, after we have come out of delusion. But at that time that when we are deluded, we are not able to recognize that we are in delusion. And the attachment is also not available to us. We are not able to recognize that. But what is easily recognizable by us is sorrow, Sokham, grief. We know when we are sad. And this Sokham is common to all human beings. So Arjuna, as you see in the last chapter, he had actually given up on everything and he had sat down with enormous amount of grief. Sanjaya refers to him as Shoka Sambigna Manasaha, a person whose mind was grief stricken. So this Shokam is actually common to all human beings. Though each one of us would have experienced or still experiencing and will be experiencing Shokam at different points of life. The only thing is the reason could be different. The reason why we are in sorrow could be different. And even for us, for a single person, if we take just one, if we take ourselves, the reason for Shokam could be different from time to time. So, what was cause for sorrow then will not be a cause of sorrow now, and what could be a cause of sorrow now will not be a cause of sorrow at a later date. But this Shokam keeps coming. It keeps coming from the time of our birth, and it is there until our death. And it is there for all human beings. Nobody is excused. We might think that the other person is having a happy life. We might think that the other person is having no problems at all in their lives. We are not aware. We do not know. Everybody goes through sorrow. The time keeps moving. Shokam stays. Our life, in our life, the Shokam just, the reason changes, but internally the sorrow keeps remaining. So if we look at it, when we look at childhood, the cause for our sorrow were our teachers, the school, the homework, the exams. Those were the causes for our sorrow. But we had sorrow then. Shokam then. Then when we actually got into the job, the boss, the colleagues, the work itself, the timing, all those things were the cause for sorrow. The reason has changed, the sorrow has remained. Then once when we got married, then the in-laws, wife, spouse, whatever, sorrows from people, from relations, from surroundings, from situations, from objects was there. We had money, but we had to, the problem was actually retaining money, but we didn't have enough money when we looked at others. There is still some Shokam there. We had a house, but the house had problems. The house was giving us problems. We have to maintain that house. We have to spend for that house. We have to ensure that if we had let the house to rent, then the tenant doesn't actually make sure that the house is kept properly. Or if we have to sell, we are worried that the market is low. Or if we have to buy, we are sorrow, we are unhappy that the market has gone up. We are unhappy that we have missed that particular house. We have Shokam throughout. Then as we grow older, the cause for the sorrow becomes our health. Our body is not, we are able to now recognize the different parts of the body, previously which we had been taken for granted. the stomach, the knees, the joints, the neck, the lower back, all those things are giving us problem. And we are in a state of sorrow. Then the children's education, children's married life, children's future, we are having worrying about those things. And then the final, when we actually, as we grow older, then we have people around us passing away, and we see that death is near us, and we are surrounded by people who have lost their relatives, and therefore that is a cause of our sorrow. So reason is different, time keeps moving, but the Sokham, the sorrow, the grief, the worry is all there. And what do we do when we actually have these kind of sorrows? We try to address the symptoms. So when we are in the child, when we are as a church, when we are in the school going stage, we try to address the school going issues. When we are married, we address the marital issues. Then when we have to get the children, we are addressing all the parental issues. So we try to address the symptoms. So that sorrow goes, but another one comes. So what happens ultimately is we address the topic of the sorrow, but we do not address the root cause of the sorrow. That seems to be our case. Now, in this case also, for Arjuna, there is a cause for sorrow. That sorrow is there. The sorrow that he is going to face, he hasn't explicitly conveyed it to Bhagavan yet. That his problem is the death of Bhishma and Drona. He hasn't conveyed that in as many words yet, but that is the cause for his sorrow. Now, if Bhagavan had given a solution which addresses the topical problem, namely for Arjuna, the Sokham is caused by the fact that he has to kill his grandfather and guru. So if Bhagavan has addressed or given a solution that will remove the sorrow from Arjuna's mind, because his sorrow is only pertaining to the sorrow of killing of his grandfather and guru, then Bhagavad Gita would be a book or a text, or would be relevant only for people who are in a similar state. But Bhagavad Gita is seen as a solution for all kinds of problems. And people read Bhagavad Gita and have found solutions for a variety of problems. And not only that, it has been staying relevant for thousands of years. For the past thousands of years, right from the time of Mahabharata, people have benefited from Bhagavad Gita. We are benefiting from Bhagavad Gita, and there will be more coming generations also that will be benefiting from Bhagavad Gita. And why is it that Bhagavad Gita is able to remain relevant? Is because it has not just addressed the topic of the problem. It has not addressed only the symptoms of the problem. It has addressed, Bhagavan has addressed the root cause of the problem, or what we call as the fundamental problem. So which means, from where we can actually say, if Bhagavan had given solutions for the root cause. If every sorrow has got individually its own root cause, then Bhagavan would have to had to give thousands and millions of solutions. But that has not been the case. There is only one root cause for all the sorrows of the world. Bhagavan has given one solution for it. He has given a solution for removing that root cause, which is the cause for all the sorrows in the world. That solution addresses the fundamental problem. And that is why Bhagavad Gita has remained relevant and will remain relevant for generations. And this Bhagavad Gita is not limited to only a Kshatriya, because Bhagavan gave this to Arjuna. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. So is it relevant only to a Kshatriya? No. Or is it only relevant to a male because Arjuna was a male gender? No. Is it relevant only to a Grihastha Ashrama person because Arjuna was a Grihastha Ashrama person? He was not a Brahmachari or a Sannyasi or a Vanaprastha. No. Is it relevant only to old people? Some people have this feeling that Bhagavad Gita has to be studied only after retirement. When you are young, you are not supposed to study Bhagavad Gita, as it may affect your drive and passion to, achieve things in life. That's what they say, which is wrong. Bhagavad Gita is not limited to any particular jati. It is not limited to any particular ashrama. It is not limited to any age group. It is not limited to any gender. It is relevant for all humans. It is relevant for all humans. It can be a solution for all the issues that we face. But what do we see in general? Not everybody come and study Bhagavad Gita. Not everybody thinks that Bhagavad Gita is a solution to their problem. Because not everybody accepts that solution. Why is the case? Why is it that we know for sure that Bhagavad Gita addresses all the problems for all human beings across age, gender, jati and ashrama? Why are people not studying Bhagavad Gita? And our Shastra says there are 4 steps before which we accept any kind of a solution. But before that, we'll see why people do not come to Bhagavad Gita, or why people do not come to Vedanta when the knowledge itself is so useful. First, we have to understand is experience and knowledge. In Tamil we say Anubhavam and Arivu. Experience and knowledge, it does not need to go together. Some people may have the age by which they have got experience, but their knowledge may not be to that level. So just because a person has crossed 50 doesn't really mean that they have been able to gain the knowledge of a person who has got that much experience. So age and knowledge, in other words, experience and knowledge do not go together, and they do not grow also proportionately. As we grow older, it doesn't mean that we become mature automatically. Maturity and age are different. So that's why not many people will take the advice, and therefore they do not go to Vedanta, they do not actually pursue Vedanta. And for us to actually even acknowledge that Vedanta can be a solution, first of all, we have to acknowledge that I am in need of a solution. That apurnatvam has to be acknowledged. And first of all, for that, the 4 steps is needed. What? First of all, we have to discover that we have a problem in life. And that problem is called samsara. That I am feeling attachment. I have this feeling of attachment. I have this feeling of grief. I have this feeling of I have this delusion in my intellect, and I have to get over it. But even before I get over it, the first step I have to do is I have to discover that I have it. But what we do internally when we have this Sokham, when we get into this Sokham, we try to change the external setup. We try to alter the external setup. We try to say, you have to behave properly. People around us, we expect them to behave in a certain manner. We expect things around us to work in a certain manner. We are not willing to change ourselves. We want to change the setup around us. And we think by changing the setup around us, we will be able to overcome the problem. We think that the solution exists outside. And that's because we think that the problem also exists outside. We think the other person's words had cost me the problem. The other person's actions cost me this problem. The other person's behavior cost me this problem. And if he is able to, or if she or he is able to do properly, live their life properly, I will not be affected. So we always think that the problem is outside. We never discover the problem within ourselves. The first and foremost we have to do is to discover that the problem is within us. I have this problem of shoka. I have this problem of attachment. I have this problem of grief. I have this problem of delusion. I have this problem of pride. I have this problem of anger. I have this problem of jealousy. We tend not to acknowledge it. So first and foremost, we have to do that. Second, we try to change the external situations, change the external setup, and say, this person I should not meet. I want this house to be in this manner. I don't want to go there. That will affect me. I don't want this particular thing to happen. All those things we try. Now, first, all those things we have tried, we have identified that the problem is within ourselves. That's the first step. Then the second step is, I have to have a desire to come out of it. That's the second step. I need to have this desire to come out of it. Because although I may have a problem, not many people would be interested to come out of it. I understand that I am angry, but I will be angry. So what? You adjust with me. Or I will behave in this manner. So what? I know I have a problem, but I don't want to come out of it. And that's true even for an example, like for example, even if we are physically having some problems, physical problems, like for example, we might have a headache, for example. So once I have that headache, now I have to have the desire to come out of it. I can always say, I will live with my headache. It doesn't matter. I'll just live with it. In the same manner, once we identify that the problem is within us, this raga, shokam, moha, madam, matsarim, whatever, I have to have the desire to come out of it. That's the second step. That desire, only once it comes up, only when it grows, then what I will do, typically what we will do is, we will try to do some self-help measures. As in, we will try to sort it out ourselves. Just like when we have a headache, we don't necessarily go to the doctor. We will try to apply something, some balm on our head, or we try to sleep it off, or we will try to drink a coffee. or we tie a band around our head. We try various kind of things which are all self-help measures. The same manner, what we do is we take some self-help measures. We say, okay, I will actually probably read some slokas to get over this, or this is actually a small case, I will try to work around this, I will try to do some puja for this, or I will try to or we get carried away by what others say. They say, okay, go to this temple, do this, your problems will vanish. Or we'll take some vrata. We'll try to do something which is kind of self-help. Or we try to read Bhagavad Gita by ourselves. Or we say meditation. We'll try to do meditation and then we say, I am doing meditation. Why? Because I want to come out of samsara. I want to get enlightened. I want to become like Buddha. I want to get nirvana. I want to get moksha. I want to get liberation. And therefore we tend to do our own things. Or we try to read Bhagavad Gita on our own, which is even worse. We take a book, and that too, the authors, we are not very sure what kind of sampradaya that come from. We don't know. We are not sure whether they understand the context and the actual meaning. We don't know, but we tend to read it. We tend to, and why we do that? Ego. Because for us, the biggest problem in our life is our ego. Our ego says, I know it. I know what is good for me. Nobody else need to tell me what is good for me, whether it is my body or my mind. I know what works and what doesn't work. We have this ego, enormous amount of ego. We refuse to accept helplessness. This stage is called as Dainya Avastha or Karpanya Avastha. We are miserly. We don't know. We are helpless, or rather, even when we are helpless, we do not want to accept it. So that's the third step. Understanding that self-help is not working. Sometimes what we do, we waste our entire life with our self-help. Some people would say, all this Vedanta and all doesn't work for me. I will just go to that, do these things. For example, they will say, I will be a good man. That is enough for me. Question is, that does not lead you to moksha. First of all, you don't even understand what is moksha in the first place, unless we come to Vedanta. We don't even know that all our goals can be categorized into 4, that there are 4 purusharthas. We don't even know what is moksha, what is not moksha. We don't know, we are not clear about karma, we are not clear about dharma, we are not clear about bhakti. And yet we claim, I don't want to listen to all those things, I know what is good. And I will be a good man in this life, that's enough. We tend not to be good men. We don't even know that we are not good men. Or we won't recognize we are good men. We are not good men rather. So, understanding that self-help is not working is the third step. The final step is taking help from Guru. Just like when we are physically having some problems, like a headache. We try balm, we try all the coffees and sleeps and whatever, kerosene, paracetamol and all those things. It's not working. Then we finally go to a doctor. And what do we go to and once we go to the doctor, what do? We do in our scriptural terms, we do a Sharanagati and we have Shraddha. We do a Sharanagati because when the doctor says, we give all our issues. We are open with him, we are very clear, we do not hide anything. We make sure that he understands what our real problem is so that he is able to prescribe the correct medicine for us. So we do a Sharanagati. We surrender to him. And then there is Shraddha. The medicine he gives, we take it. If it's 3 times a day after food, we do it. It's one medicine before food, one after food, one at night, we follow it diligently. We do it with Shraddha. We don't question, we don't find out what is this medicine, what is the components of this medicine, what are the different, who is the manufacturer of this medicine, what lab it was produced, whether they produced it in the right manner or not, whether it is as per what has been written in the foil of the tablet. We don't do any kind of verification, validation and all those things. We take it with Shraddha. In the same way, once we come to Vedanta, we'll have to take a help from a guru and we'll have to do a Sharanagati. Sharanagati to the Shastra, Sharanagati to the Guru, and whatever it says, whatever Guru says, whatever Shastra says, we will have to accept with it Shraddha. We should not try to question for the sake of questioning. For the sake of understanding, yes, we should question. Not for the sake of questioning. As I said the last time, what did I say? Vada, Vedanta, Vada. We should not do any Vedanta, Vada. Some people come to the Guru, but they are always having this, now let me test him. It's more like, I am testing the Guru. So let me test him for a couple of classes, couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of months, couple of years, whatever. I mean, it's not that this feeling is there always in our mind that we know what is better for us. That's fine. But it's also okay to have this feeling, I want to, see this for some time. But to actually look at whatever Shastra says with a bit of like, is it? Are you really meaning it? Does it, having this feeling that I know better than what the Shastras say. That kind of feeling will not take us anywhere. That is not Shraddha. So these 4 steps, once we cross only, we will come to Vedanta, we will come to Bhagavad Gita, and only when we listen to Bhagavad Gita with Shraddha, that Bhagavad Gita will make an impact to our life. Otherwise, it is just another text that we have gone through. It's like another novel, it's like another book. It will not make the change that is required in our life unless we have this Sharanagati and Shraddha. And for that Sharanagati and Shraddha, we should understand that our self-help is not working. And for that too, we'll have to put aside our ego. And before that, we should really understand that the problem is within us. It's not the world. The world is not a problem. The problem is me. That we should understand. That's the 4 steps. And that's why Bhagavad Gita, although is such a brilliant text which has got solution for all kinds of problems, it is not popular among all people. And for us to even recognize this problem of samsara, that is the problem, right? First I have to recognize the problem of samsara. That I am, initially most of the people, when you ask them how's life is good, life is fine, life is good. And whatever they face in their life, they take it for granted. Everybody faces Sokham, everybody faces problems, everybody faces death, everybody has got health issues, children issues, in-laws issues, work issues, personal problems, all those, and relationship problems, all these things, everybody has it. So it's all normal. So it's all fine. We take it for granted that these things are normal. So we don't feel that I should come out. First of all, there is a problem there. I shouldn't be living this kind of life. We don't even recognize that. How do we recognize that I have this, there is this problem? We need to have turning points in our life. And a turning point is needed for everyone. For example, there is the story of Pattinathar. Pattinathar was a rich merchant in those days in Tamil Nadu. And he was so obsessed for making money. And he basically, he was a rich merchant, he had lots of money. And he wanted his son to also get into this business. So he basically sent his son on a ship to do business with other countries. So he basically sent spices, whatever he was dealing with. He sent his son along with him in the ship, asking him to go sell, make money and bring back. So Pattinathar's son was not too old. He was actually probably in late teens, probably at that point of time. And when the ship came back, the friends of Pattinathar, who he was not called as Pattinathar at that point of time, he had a different name, I don't remember his name though. His friends basically told that your son was such a foolish guy. He had sold all his goods, and what he had got as back were all cow dung, dried cow dung cakes. He has only got dried cow dung cakes as return for all the things that he had sold. So Pattinathar was extremely unhappy, was very angry. So when his son came, he blasted him that how could you do that? I had sent so much of goods worth and you don't even know how to conduct your business, and here you are coming up with only all these kinds of dried cow dung cakes, which is basically varati in Tamil we say. So he was angry. He blasted his son. Then his son basically said, have you finished now? And he then opened up one of the cow dung cakes, and within that were all gems, diamonds and all those kinds of things, very expensive ones. And he said, look, when we were coming back, there could be pirates there, so I didn't want these to actually fall in the eyes of the pirates, so I had put them all as dried cow dung. I put them in cow dung, they made them into, dried them and then brought them here so that it doesn't fall in the hands of pirates. He was extremely happy. He was extremely happy that his son is not only doing business, but he also knows how to do all these things. So he was praising his son. At that point of time, the son gave him a present, and in that present there was one thing written. It said, when he read it, it said, Kadatra usiyum varadu kadai valike. His son had written a sentence which said, even a broken needle will not come to you after death. In your next life, you will not even be able to take a broken needle with you. So that actually changed Pattinathar's life. Pattinathar then left everything and he went out of his house. He actually started searching for Bhagavan, and finally he merged with Ishvara. So that is Pattinathar's story. There is a change, there is a turning point. The turning point was that particular slip that he read from his son. Let's take Buddha as an example. Buddha, when he saw he was actually a prince, Siddhartha, and he had no problems in life. His father and parents and courtiers were all clear that he shouldn't face a single issue in his life. So he was not shown anything that could actually create sorrow in his mind. But ultimately he saw a dead body. The moment he saw a dead body and he asked what was the reason, can people die, and what is that? And then he started inquiring on it. What is the use if people are going to die? If we are going to die, then what is the use of this life? And then he went away. He became Buddha. Now, do we not know that we are not able to take even a broken needle? Have we not seen enough dead bodies? Have we not seen enough people around us die? We have done all that. And yet we do not change, because we get the indication. Not just this one. We would have got an indication from a relationship. A relationship is turning sour, then we know these are all indications for us to turn to Vedanta, to turn to a solution. How long? Whether it is kind of a relation or a problem in the office or a problem at house or problem in the world, whenever world gives us problems, these are all indications that Bhagavan is giving us, hey, turn towards Vedanta. But we ignore. And why? Why it is the case? Because the Maya Shakti of this world, it covers it. We are not able to see the issue. We, for a moment, we get disillusioned and we get that vairagya, we get that dispassion, but only for a short time. We too get dispassionate. We too get, when somebody dies and then we say, what is the use of living all this life? He is not able to take even one thing. All these things he is leaving behind and going. There is nothing that he can take from here. We are able to see that at that particular point of time. Or when we see something in the relationship, we know, no, I don't want to continue. I don't want to. But then after some time we go back. That's because the Maya Shakti covers it. It comes over as a veil and we are not able to recognize it afterwards. And how can we overcome that? How can we overcome this? How are we able to overpower this Maya Shakti and be able to do that? And come to Vedanta. Like for example, all of us, we are here. We have come to Vedanta because we have been able to overcome that. How? When does the desire come? When does the desire come in us to say, I want to come out of samsara? Not everybody comes out of samsara. We have this feeling we want to come out. Not everybody wants to come out. They are happy with their life. Khao, piyo, maja karo. I am fine. I am living my life. I am living happily. So be it. One day I will die. So be it. Only when the punyam works, there has to be enough punyam in us for us to be able to come up or get the desire to come out of samsara. So we need that punyam working to get that desire that I want to come out of samsara. Whatever we did as dharma. But some people take pride in their samsara. Some people say, if I get angry, I won't be myself. If I get angry, it is not, I will turn the house upside down. That's all samsara, that's all papam working, that's all samsara. They are happy and they take the pride in being in samsara. And what is samsara? We will discuss this many times, but again I'll repeat. Discontentment. That's the first and foremost. I am not happy. I am not contented with this life. That is discontentment. That is samsara. Anger is samsara. Greed is samsara. Jealousy is samsara. Hatred is samsara. Revenge, samsara. All these things are samsara. And if we take pride in all those things, take pride in being samsara, in this samsara, take pride that I have pride, take pride that I have anger, take pride that I am discontented, take pride that I have jealousy. And jealousy, they say sometimes in professional competition, something like that. They use different terms. So if we take pride in samsara, it's called as, it means we are in moham, we are deluded, we are in delusion. So this punyam has to work in such a way that we feel ashamed of it and we have the desire to come out of it. And that desire should become tiviram, should become intense. And once it becomes intense, then only we go searching. We go searching for solutions. And as I said, we go searching, first we do self-help and we start various things, including guru hopping. One guru, next guru, one solution, next solution. This guru does that. This guru is actually able to do me, he teaches me mantra or japa, and then this guru is actually asking me to do meditation. This guru, so we try different gurus, different methods. Or some people try it on their own. As I said, they read Gita on their own, doing meditation on their own. These things will not help. We need a guru, we need a proper guru, sampradaya guru. So this is when, and getting a guru also is the result of punya. The punya will take us to the guru or sometimes bring the guru to us. The punya will work. In fact, Bhagavan himself will say in Bhagavad Gita, later we will see, to get a guru is not, you need not even try sometimes. The punya will make it happen. So this is what we have to understand so far. Before we get on to chapter 2, I thought we'll do this. The other point that we have to understand from this Arjuna Bhagavan Samvada, it's not Vedanta, Samvada. You see, in the entire first chapter, Bhagavan had not spoken a single word. He has not spoken a single word. Although Arjuna is lamenting to Bhagavan only. There's only Bhagavan there. Generally our tendency is somebody actually laments, immediately the first we try to cut him off. Cut her off, cut him off immediately. And we try to give our advice immediately so that we are close. We close this chapter and go on. Or we think we have the solution even before they have stated their problem. Whereas Bhagavan has not spoken a word. And that we should take note. And especially even as we become old, as we become elders in the family, never advise unless we are asked. And if a person is in sorrow and they are lamenting, all the more do not advise. Because when they are in sorrow and when they are lamenting and you advise, the sorrow will only double. First of all, they will say that, they will not be able to take the advice. More importantly, they will say your advice is only, you do not understand my point of view, is what they will claim. You have not in my situation, you are not in my shoes. So how will you even understand and give me advice, is what they will claim. So never advise, especially when they are in sorrow. The second thing we have to understand is, when it comes to advice, a lower level should not advise a higher level. An employee advising an employer, a younger in age person advising an elder person. we may have the right intention, we may have the right advice, but it has to be put in the right manner. And if it comes across as advice, then the ego gets hurt. Sometimes even a wife advising husband also has the same effect. The ego gets hurt. So we have to understand that, and we have to take note of it when we are advising. So when we are at a lower level, try not to, at least don't show it as an advice. Put it in a different way. Maybe we can always use the word, maybe will this work? Maybe if we can do this way. Or always use the word we instead of I tell you do this. So that's the second point that we have to know. The third point is, the less we talk, the more respect we get. As long as we don't talk, the other person may not even know that whether we have the answer or not. They may think that we have the answer to it, and they may feel they may have a respect for us. So never less talk, more respect. So those are the things that we have to learn from the first chapter, from Bhagavan and Arjuna Samvada. So with that, we are coming into the second chapter. The first chapter, as I said, we describe the battlefield, then Arjuna's mindset, which is his mind right now with overpowering emotions of attachment, grief and delusion. Now, the second chapter is a very important chapter. The second chapter gives a comprehensive view, a complete view of the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita is condensed in chapter 2. The entire Bhagavad Gita is again condensed in chapter 18. So the second chapter is a very important chapter. So 2nd and 18th is a summarized view of Bhagavad Gita, with the chapters between 3 and 17 all basically explain the summarized concepts. It's all actually, first is described in brief, then the describe in detail. So if we understand the second chapter, it means we have understood the entire Gita, the summary of Gita at least. And Bhagavan follows the method what we describe in our Shastras, in our culture. We say when we start anything, there is a Upakrama Bhaga. Upakrama Bhaga means what we need to, initially whatever we need to convey, we need to provide an overview of that. Today in PowerPoint presentation, when we always give a summary slide at the first. Or there is an agenda, something like that, where we explain what do we want to convey in this presentation. So that is called as Upakrama Bhaga. It was there, even all these PowerPoint slides and all this way of communication, it is there for thousands of years in our Shastra, more than that. So there used to be an Upakrama Bhaga. Then there is a Upasamhara Bhaga. Upasamhara Bhaga is basically at the end, we summarize and we conclude saying these are the things that we discussed. We just do a summary at the end, a conclusion. And in between the Upakrama and Upasamhara, we do the detailed discussion. And that is what is followed also in this Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter, the 18th chapter. The second chapter is the Upakrama. The 18th chapter is Upasamhara. And in this second chapter, there are 4 major topics that are covered. The first one is basically the introduction. Between Sloka 1 and 10, it's all the introduction where, we will start learning new terms like who is an adhikari, and we'll learn more about Samsara and all those things. That's the first major topic. Then the second major topic is Jnana Yoga. And this is the biggest topic within this chapter. And that's why this chapter is called as Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga meaning Jnana Yoga. Then the third major topic is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is another topic which is dealt in this chapter. And then the last one is Jnani Lakshana. As in, how does a Jnani, how do you identify or recognize a Jnani? What are the qualities of a Jnani? So by actually what we also gain is, once we attain this Jnana, what is the benefit we get? What is the Jnana Phala? That we understand in this section. So these are the four major topics that are covered in this chapter. There are other topics as well, but these are the major ones. But remember, actually Karma Yoga as a sadhana comes before Jnana Yoga. As a spiritual seeker, Karma Yoga comes first, then comes Jnana Yoga. But in this chapter what happens? Jnana Yoga comes first, then Karma Yoga. And we will see why Bhagavan has done this in this manner. We will see that later. So this is chapter 1. And I didn't, before we conclude, maybe we will just read the first sloka alone. As I said, the first 10 slokas are introduction. These are where the concept that one requires to understand Vedanta are all described here. Got from this portion. So we will start. अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदन संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् Uvacha Madhusudanah. So we'll see basically Sanjaya talking here. Arjuna has kept his bows and arrows and he has sat there. Sanjaya is starting this chapter and he is describing what has happened. And basically he is saying Bhagavan is going to speak. So what Bhagavan is going to speak we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.